October is the start of a new NBA season. But while fans are locked in on preseason games, something else is happening behind closed doors. In NBA front offices around the league, this is the most important meeting of the year, where scouts, executives, and decision makers gather in one city to align their vision for the entire season. I used to be in these rooms, and in this video, I'm going to take you inside exactly what goes on, step by step, when an NBA front office kicks off its scouting year. I'm Anthony Goods, a former NBA scout, and I'm going to show you guys inside an NBA front office during the preseason. From NBA scouts flying in, tiering draft prospects, coverage assignments, and expense reports, we're going to talk about it all. This is how NBA teams quietly prepare to make billion-dollar decisions. Every preseason, front offices bring their entire scouting department to the team's home city for a multi-day summit. We usually call these preseason meetings. Everybody from the international scouts, the college scouts, the pro scouts, the high school scouts, and upper management is all in the same building during this time. It's part business, part education, and part strategy session. Some scouts have been doing this for decades, others are brand new. So this meeting sets the tone, structure, and expectations for the entire year. And on top of everything, it's a great chance to build chemistry. And this is where you learn everything. How we're gonna write reports, how we're gonna submit reports, whatever database we're gonna be using, how to submit expenses, when the expenses will be coming back, what you can and cannot spend. You pretty much learn everything within these few days. It's kind of like our own boot camp or training camp. So usually in the first set of meetings, upper management is going to lay out the goals. The GM gives his state of the team update where he talks about the draft pick situation for the upcoming year, roster outlook, strategic priorities, and things like that. Before we go out and start looking for new additions to the team, we have to have a feel for how our team is as a whole.
The number one priority for me on the court is to have a plan in place to build a team with a soul. I care about creating winning habits, and you guys know how it feels when you're in a winning environment. Right now, our job is to figure out who's going to be the next step. You guys asked me, I think pretty much all of you, is like, if we go and scout, what type of player we're scouting? We want good dudes here. The players that are always in winning teams, they're the reason why. If you want something you've never had, you have to do something you've never done. And for me as a head coach, that's what intrigues me the most.
I want to be part of that.
Everybody has to leave that room knowing the team's vision for the season. Once the vision is clear, scouts are given their coverage assignments. Every team is different, but some college scouts get conferences and other college scouts may get regions. International scouts pretty much have to scout everybody outside of the United States. Pro scouts get their advanced assignments, and sometimes they'll be assigned a division, it could be a conference, or maybe just a list of teams. Again, every team is doing this differently as well. High school scouts will usually outline what major circuits they'll track and what events that they'll be attending throughout the year. These assignments determine who sees what and ultimately who finds the next star. This is huge because how you divide coverage usually determines what kind of information comes across the GM's desk come March or even in June. You don't want to send 5 scouts to go see the same players and then you have a group of players that end up slipping through the crack because you didn't have coverage. Along with assignments, they review evaluation protocols, how to tier prospects, how reports are formatted, and how communication flows up the chain. Consistency is everything. An NBA GM is super packed with meetings, worrying about the team and his own emails and things that he has to do. So as a scouting department, we need to make sure that our reports are clear and concise so he can get through them along with the rest of upper management in the front office. Now, during these meetings, there is a portion of the meeting where we focus a little more on evaluation. Each group between college, international, pro, and high school will usually have their time to speak and highlight any players that we should be on the lookout for the upcoming season. In the college meeting, they review the top prospects for the upcoming draft. Players are usually tiered into 4 categories. Tier 1+ was usually our projected lottery picks. Tier 1 was a player you thought could be a first rounder. Tier 2 were the likely second rounders, but they will for sure get drafted. And finally, Tier 3 were the fringe prospects worth monitoring because they could slide into Tier 2 or even Tier 1 at some point in the season. And this wasn't just reading names off a list. Sometimes we'd be watching videos on these prospects and having short debates. This is kind of where that first internal draft board gets born. Then the international scouts take over. They break down the top overseas talent, who's playing where, which leagues have depth this year, and which players might declare or stay overseas, or maybe even go to college for that matter. We'd also try to identify some young pros that we think will be good two-way candidates, or maybe even some veterans that we think could help our roster in the following year. We would tier the international prospects the same way we would tier the college prospects. And in these tiers, it's very fluid. You know, a player can move from a 1+ down to a 3 and so on and so forth. And all of this will get compiled into the same board. And finally, we have the high school meeting. This is all about the future. Scouts identify the strongest graduating classes, not just the top players, but which years project as deep drafts. Why? Because when a trade offer comes in, front offices need to know the value of a future first-round pick. A 2028 pick in a loaded class might be gold. A 2027 pick in a weak class might not move the needle. People think of high school scouting as just hype, but it's actually strategic. You're mapping out the draft landscape for a team for the years to come. Once the meetings wrap up, scouts stick around to watch the NBA team practice or a preseason game. This is their first look at how the new roster fits together. After that, they hit the road. College pro days, early practices, sometimes even high school showcases. Reports start flowing in immediately and the season begins. There's not a whole lot you can see from that first NBA practice, but it is good to kind of get a feel and get a glance at the new roster. Sometimes guys may make a leap from summer league until this point, or maybe even from the end of last season until now. So it's good for the scouts to kind of know what we're looking at before we go and hit the road, and then we're watching games on TV if we live remote. When we travel out to these college practices and these pro days, yeah, it's good to see these players up close, but really, there's not a whole lot you can get from those practices either. A lot of times, you know, you may notice something about the shooting form because you're able to see them shoot a lot more shots in practice, or you're noticing something about the body or the athleticism, but there's not a whole lot of takeaways, and you're not gonna sign off on a player, or you're not gonna crucify him off of one practice that you saw in October. The main reason for going to college practices and pro days is to get intel. We usually like to get intel at the beginning of the season before teams have won and lost games, because coaches are a little more willing to talk and you get their initial thoughts from having the kids since the summer. Once the games start happening, you don't want to start bugging coaches and calling them and trying to get background information on these players. So usually during a pro day or a college practice, if there's not a whole bunch of other scouts around, this is the perfect time to get in there, get the information you need, and then put that in the system. So that way during the season, you can focus primarily on just evaluating. So while fans are debating preseason box scores, front offices are laying the foundation for everything that follows. These meetings shape how teams scout, draft, trade, and build for the future. This is the unseen side of the NBA, where preparation meets strategy. For me, as a former scout, these meetings were the heartbeat of the year. You knew once you left here, the real work was just beginning. If you want more inside looks on how the NBA front office works, hit the subscribe button and leave a comment below, and I'll try to make a video about it. As always, I appreciate you guys for tapping in with me and watching this content. I'll be sure to keep more coming. I appreciate y'all.
So post-draft night, we're kind of, launched right into the 2025 prep right away. We're sending our scouts out to all the grassroots events, collecting all that information, and then setting our lists for this year. Start putting guys in different tiers to see who are our priority teams. We'll have our scouting meetings, which we're really excited about. We have an unbelievable group of scouts that have so many experiences, that played overseas and coached, and a wide variety of backgrounds for them. So we're using all those relationships. Whoever they have the strongest relationships with, we're asking them to tap into those and get the information that not a lot of people can get. So really tapping into those, getting our focus lists, and then from there we set our practice schedules and we're out and running.